All right, let's talk about success traits. Those are some things that stop you. Now, everything can't be cured by graphotherapy. And in fact, even when you do it, there's still some things because you have both neural pathways. But it's easy. It's fun. There's no reason not to do it, except that you might have silly handwriting. What about success traits? What traits do you want in your life that would make you more successful? Leadership, high self-image, write these down. Willpower, that could be good too. I think it's really interesting that most of the traits that you're telling me, we have a corresponding handwriting trait that you can develop in your writing. That's exciting. You know, some of them we don't. Like bravery. There's no trait that says bravery. But there is one that says determination and persistence and high self-esteem. Good memory, fluidity of thoughts. Have you read the book? Because I was like, that's an unusual thing to throw out. Fluidity of thought would be a part of intelligence. I think it's an exceptional trait for public speakers, for radio hosts, and for writers. It may not be necessary for a cricket player. It probably will be, actually, because of the fluidity, but it's a good thing to cultivate. I can't think of a negative side to it. You said memory. Memory would be good for certain careers. Absolutely. Hold on, let me answer his question. By NLP, is memory... Yeah, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It just means how the mind works. NLP in itself is just a set of techniques and a model. So if someone studied people with great memory skills, NLP could figure out what that model is and it could solve it. So yeah, I mean, people think, oh my God, I heard NLP solves everybody's problems. No, the brain solves everybody's problems. The smart therapist figured out the system to tap into the brain, find the answer, and then relay the answer to this person over here. So yeah, I mean, it does create miracles because the brain has the answers. But in itself, it's a system, like an alphabet. It's given us the tools to create things. You know, people are like, can you solve my problem? I think I can. Really, you can. My job is just to elicit it from you and figure out the pictures and the sounds and the feelings and how exactly your brain is storing information. Healthy physical drives. Is it easier to be successful when you have energy? Absolutely. So strong physical drives. Right attitude is good. I think that would fall under optimism or maybe extroversion, maybe. Okay. Concentration would be great if you're driving race cars, if you're a fighter pilot, but not necessarily if you are maybe a public speaker. I don't know. Imagination, I think, would be helpful for visionary, but not necessary. Some of the things you're saying are useful, but not necessary. But they may be useful for you. Honesty would be useful, unless you're a marriage counselor. Think about that. If you're a marriage counselor, you have all the information I have in my head. And someone comes to you and says, Bart, we've been in love for 20 years. You've looked at our handwriting. You've interviewed us separately. Are we going to make it? And I'm thinking, you two hate each other. You hate every bit around each other. Your handwriting is total opposites. You have no reason to be together. The only reason you're staying together is because you believe that divorce is not an option. And my job is to save their marriage. So is it best that I'm honest or secretive? If they're paying me to save their marriage. My father actually did marriage counseling when he was younger, after he got his master's in psychology. He said, you know, Bart, he goes, I had a number of sessions, and I wanted to just tell the woman to get up and leave this SOB because he's a miserable human being, and he's a horrible human being, and you need to get as far away as possible. And so he just sat and looked at these people, and he said, his quote is, I quit being a marriage counselor because I felt guilty saving marriages that should not have been together in the first place. That's my father's opinion on marriage counseling. So, I think there's jobs where honesty is a great quality, and there's jobs when it's not a good quality. How about if you're the IRS or you're a tax assessor? If you're a government official, you're a CIA agent, FBI, James Bond, 007. He can't be honest, right? His whole job is deception and secretiveness. So it all depends on what your career choice is. On that page, turn the page over. The answers are at the lower right-hand corner. Those are the ones that I picked. Those aren't the only ones, but they're the ones that I picked. It might be helpful for you to draw the trait that corresponds to it. So let's do that. What's the first one there? High self-image. Draw an example of a T with a high self-image on your paper. There's an example of some people with a good self-image. It could be higher, it could be on top, it could be anywhere in the top 3/4 fine. Okay? I know some of you that you want it right on top. That's great. But it's okay if it's a little bit low. What's the next trait that it was listed there? Persistence. This is persistence. A T is the easiest way to show persistence. You could have it in a Y, but it sort of becomes a different trait. So I like to keep it in the middle zone or upper zone. You could, but again, the lower zone stuff means different things. Persistence is going to be in the middle zone or upper zone. So I think the T is the best. A. An X. You want to show me? Okay. So you have sort of persistence, but you're coming from the right to left, which means you're coming from the future to the past, which means you're leading into the past. Is persistence finishing in the future or past? Can you reverse it? No, it's not the ideal way. Can you reverse that? Okay. So if she went this way, I think that would almost count as persistence. By the way, I've never seen that in anyone on this planet. That is a T. That's the way I sign my name. I started signing my name that way when I was 14. Just boom. I added that intentionally. And I do. I get what I want. I'm persistent, persistent, persistent. It's a good trait. It's been helpful for me. Okay? Again, do you have to do it every time? No. Okay? Does your T-bar have to be high everywhere? No. In fact, I'll show you one common example that people that don't take the home study course confuse. Can I give you a little free sample of the home study course? If you connect your dots, like if you write the word T-O, see how that T connects into the O? That doesn't mean low self-esteem. That's fluidity of thinking. So you're connecting one dot to the next. Like, for example, if I write the word "the," I'm connecting that letter. That connection is called fluidity of thinking. That's a very great trait. It supersedes the average or low T-bar. So really, you could write a whole sentence and only have a couple of T-bars that are ending in a normal T-bar. Make sense? So, there's a lot of exceptions. That's one of the reasons that when you take the home study course or get the CDs or, come to class, you give you all these exceptions so that you can be more consistent in your graphotherapy and your analysis.